So one of our staff members just put together this personal MP5 build, so we thought it'd be a great chance to give you some build ideas and to see what's possible, especially for a relatively less common platform like the MP5. And it's a shame that MP5s are less common on the field, because for those of us who grew up watching 80s and 90s action movies, it was pretty much the iconic submachine gun. Conceived in the 1960s, well before the idea of CQB ever took off, the 9mm round may be considered anemic in the era of high-performance body armor, but this little submachine gun that could, with its ambidextrous controls and compact frame, still has a lot to say on the field. The concept for this build was to bring the classic MP5 into the modern era, both in performance and aesthetics. Efficiency is the name of the game, and heavy, chunky RIS handguards are being phased out with lightweight systems that give you minimal rail space only where it's absolutely necessary. For a base, he went with the HK licensed Elite Force MP5a5 OEM by VFC with their high-performance Avalon internals and MOSFET unit. The base gun comes in at 2.8 kilograms with a full metal upper, so it's certainly no featherweight polymer ARP9, but boy does it feel like an MP5 should. It offers probably the notchiest, most tactile MP5 selector switch on the market, something most Airsoft MP5s definitely fall flat on. Standard MP5 mag release, which can be operated in a few ways with your thumb and your index finger, and even like a standard AR style if your fingers can reach it. Admin reloads take a little bit of practice if you're used to an AR, but it is very doable, especially with the slimmer magazines. The steel magazine also notches in really nicely into the gun with a nice positive feel, but there is a moderate amount of play in the magwell, though it didn't affect function. It's got a steel charging handle, so yes, 8K slaps are on the table, but we'll save that for the owner. Charging handle reveals the hop-up unit, which uses a slider to adjust. Definitely would have preferred to see something like a rotary unit that's a bit less prone to shifting and a bit easier to dial in a precise setting. Full stock MP5s tend to be a bit more popular for Airsoft for more battery storage, but this one has a large cylindrical handguard that holds smaller lipos just fine. The upside of a sliding stock is, of course, a smaller storage size, and unlike a folding stock, the gun remains just as thin at its most compact setting. The downside is a less comfortable cheek weld than both fixed and folding stocks, so that's worth considering as well. Moving on to the build, he went with the LCT LC3 8.5-inch claw mount top rail. It's meant to go on the LCT G3, but fits this MP5 perfectly. Standard clamp mount right to the receiver, just be careful to use a cross pattern on the screws to get a perfect fit. It's a nice option if you just need a bit of rail estate, and in my opinion doesn't ruin the clean lines of the MP5. The cutout for the charging handle is meant for the G3, but there's enough room under the rail to still lock back the bolt. There are, of course, numerous ways to attach a weapon light onto a top rail, but he went with this Repro A.C.M mount for a bit of a forward offset and a nice clean look. It has 3 different mounting screw holes to fine-tune the height of the light. He went with the lowest option. For the weapon light itself, the WADSN Repro Mod Light was chosen, offering 1200 lumens running off an 18650 battery. Out of the box, it comes with a button switch, so he replaced the end cap with one from the M600DF Scout Light, which offers a tape switch in addition to a button. For a cleaner look, the tape switch could have been velcroed on, but the owner isn't quite sure where he wanted it yet, so tactical electric tape holds it for now. It's placed in a way to be accessible with both hands, and sure, the E-tape isn't the cleanest look, but it does the job and I ain't gonna judge. For an optic, he opted for the Acro style P2, which offers 10 levels of brightness off a CR2032 battery. It's got nice clicky buttons and flush adjustment turrets that don't need a cap. He considered a T2 style or an EOTech, but decided for something a little bit different, and the Acro certainly has a unique look, especially with the included riser. Finally, to complete the look, he threw on an ENC mock suppressor. To him, and myself included, an MP5 just looks good with a suppressor on the front. He says he might thread a longer inner barrel through it in the future, but for now it's a dedicated CQB gun, so the suppressor is just for looks, and more often than not a tracer unit takes its place. Overall, I think this build hits the mark he was going for. It's not an intensive build by any means, but it's got a bright, low-profile weapon light, lightweight red dot optic, all without ruining the slim look of the classic MP5. Just please remove the orange tip, that needs to go. Let us know in the comments what you think about this MP5 build or what you would have done instead. As always, thanks for watching, subscribe if you also make liberal use of e-tape, and I'll catch you on the next one.